Problem number 15. This is now dealing with histograms in which the frequency is relating to the number of students. The score is the percent of homework completion. In what range is the median score? Well, in order to determine the median score, I need to find the center of my data. There's a couple of different ways to do this. One way would be to knock off individual data pieces on each end, and I would have to keep track of how many each bar is in order to do this accurately. So I could knock off 1 and 1, 2 and 2. Now here I'm knocking off 2, so I would want to knock off 2, but I still have 1 left in this bar. So when I knock off 1, I go ahead and knock off 1 more here. And that would eventually get you to the center. The other option is, and I like this option a little bit better, is to go ahead and number all of my data. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. So if I were to identify all of the values, or roughly identify all the values that were part of this histogram, I would end up with 27 different terms that composed this histogram. Which means that the center of my data would be the 14th term. That would put 13 terms on one side of that number, 13 terms on the other side of the data of that term, and then my center term would be the 14th number. So now I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I have 13 numbers on this side of the 14. Let's count to make sure this works. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I have 13 numbers on the opposite side of my number in the middle, which would then tell me that the range in which the median score lies would be between 40 and 50. Part B asks for us to describe the distribution. Well, we have essentially what would appear to be normal distribution. How many students completed at least 50% of their homework? In order to identify that, I need to look for the 50 mark. And I'm going to count all of my numbers to the right of it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 students completed at least 50% of their homework. How many students completed 70 to 90% of their homework? Well, now I'm looking between these two bars, 70 and 90. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Describe the range of the bin in which 5 students completed the same percentage of homework. Well, I have one student that completed this much homework between 0 and 10% homework. So I know it's not going to be that. Working my way up, I finally end up with 5 students that completed between 40 and 50% of their homework. So that would be 40 to 50% again. Number 16 asks to give a sample bias, give an example of sample bias and tell us why it's bias. And since everyone could have a different answer to that, I'm not going to put an answer in the key. We can discuss that in class if you have questions on your specific answer that you provided. Describe the difference between populations and samples. Again, I'll talk about that now, but you should be able to pull that straight from your notes that we took in class. Population, example of a population could be Dodgen Middle School. And from Dodgen Middle School, I could potentially sample the one homeroom out of each grade level. And that would give me a relative sample of whatever I'm surveying the population for. Number 18, I will give you answers for again. Label each graph by its distribution. Well, here we have the bulk of our data on the left, and so we call that skewed right. And for B, we have the bulk of our data on the right, so we call that skewed left.